Bill and Ben. The very speedy thing.
Bill and Ben. The flower pot man. The flower pot Bill and Ben. The flower pot man. Bill and Ben. The flower pot man. They're playing in the garden with their friends all day long. The flower pot man. The flower pot man. The flower pot man.
It was a peaceful morning in the garden, when suddenly there was a huge crash! What was that? Gasped Weed. Bill and Ben popped out of their pots and rushed off to see what had happened. On the way, they met Scamper, weeping and wiping her eyes. "Flubber-dubber-lumper?" asked Bill. "Oh, Bill, Ben, I was in the vegetable garden, trying to eat a nut, when... boo-hoo!" wept Scamper. "Flubber-dubber-nut?" said Bill. "Yes. Well, it was rather a strange nut," said Scamper. "Come and see." The flower pot men followed Scamper, wondering what kind of a nut they would find. The big crash that Weed and the flower pot men had heard was a strange visitor who had bumped into Boo and knocked him over. "Ouch! Who's that? Who are you? What are you doing in our garden?" he demanded. "Don't just lie there. Say something." But the strange creature didn't reply. "Pretending you can't talk, eh?" said Boo suspiciously. "Well, we'll see about that." Meanwhile, Bill and Ben were looking at Scamper's strange nut. Bill pulled off some of the peel. He began to sniff. Then he started to weep. Soon he was in floods of tears. "Flubber-dubber-rub," chuckled Ben. He stepped forward to have a go. And very soon he was in tears too. For a moment, all three of them were weeping. Boo felt he needed some extra help to deal with the rude visitor. "Bill! Ben!" he cried when he saw the flower pot man. "There's a strange animal in the garden. It knocked me down and won't even say sorry." Wiping the tears from their eyes, Bill and Ben went to have a look. "It must have come from miles and miles away," said Boo. "From as far as over the road." Bill and Ben had never seen anything like it. Just then, Pry spotted some shiny bits on the strange animal and flew down to have a look. "Flubber-danimal," said Ben. "That's not an animal, Ben," said Pry. "That's a speedy thing that humans stand on and ride round." They all gaped at Pry in astonishment. Heaving and pushing, Bill and Ben turned the skateboard over. Then they tried gently rolling it backwards and forwards to each other. It gave Bill an idea. "Flubber ride!" he laughed. He zipped past Ben and jumped straight onto the skateboard. Zoom! Bill went off like a rocket along the garden path and down towards the tool shed. The board was going very fast, and there were lots of gardening tools in the way. Bill did his best to steer around them. Whoa! Wobbling and rocking, the runaway skateboard carried Bill into the greenhouse. It shot past an astonished Ketchup and came to a stop in a pile of pots and canes. "Morning, Bill," said Ketchup. "Nice of you to pop in." Ben followed close behind. "Flubber-lubber Bill?" he asked. "Bill seems to be all right, Ben," Ketchup reassured him. "Though you really mustn't rush around so quickly, you know. But Bill was much too excited to take any notice. "Flobberdobberdee!" he said to Ben. They both leapt onto the skateboard and pushed themselves off with sticks. Whee! They zoomed off to show Weed the speedy thing. "Take care!" called Ketchup after them. Bill and Ben turned a perfect circle in front of Thistle. Whee! Ha ha! Swept past the tool shed. Hee hee! And shot straight towards... Whoa! The garden gnome! Crash! At the sound of the crash, Whoops popped up from his compost bin. "Here! What's going on?" he began. Bill and Ben lay in a tumbled heap next to the garden gnome, who was now leaning off his seat. "Flobberdome," said Bill. "Flobberdome," said Ben, thanking the gnome for stopping the board for them. But Gnome didn't seem very interested. So they got back on the board and went to see Weed. While Weed was admiring the speedy thing, Scamper arrived, still crying. "Oh, Bill! Oh, Ben! Weed!" she sobbed. "Scamper!" cried Weed. "Whatever's the matter?" "Flobberdot?" asked Bill. "I know I shouldn't have, but I was so hungry. I went back to that odd nut again." Bill told Weed about the strange nut. "A nut that makes you cry?" said Weed. "That's odd. You must take it to Slowcoach and ask him if it's safe to eat." Bill and Ben looked at her doubtfully. "You can put it on your speedy thing," said Weed, "and then you won't have to touch it." Using their skateboard sticks, Bill and Ben carefully lifted the strange nut and put it on the skateboard. With Scamper's help, the Flowerpot men pushed the nut into Slowcoach's house using a long fishing net. Slowcoach was puzzled. "A nut that makes you cry?" he asked. "Let me see." Slowcoach sniffed. "It smells... Oh dear. I can't... Oh my! It brings tears to my eyes! Oh dear! My glasses have misted up! I'm afraid I can't see your strange nut. You'll have to show it to Weed. I haven't cried like that since I was a little boy." "That's not a nut, Scamper. It's an onion," said Weed. "Peeling onions makes everyone cry," she explained. "It's the smell, so please take it away." "Flobberlobbion?" asked Bill, wondering who on earth they could give the onion to as they began to wheel it away. "No one would want to eat Scamper's onion now, Bill," said Weed. Whoops, who had been listening, popped up from the compost. "Onions don't make me cry," he told Bill and Ben. "Send it up here." Bill and Ben flipped the onion up to him. "I'll soon turn it into food for plants," said Whoops, and he disappeared into the compost again. Bill and Ben wondered what to do with the skateboard. They decided to chase each other on it. Ben sped off first, and Bill zoomed after him on the board. Then it was Ben's turn. Ben gave the board a playful push, but Bill dodged to one side, and the board swept past him. "Flobberdast!" Bill had a horrible thought. The board was going too fast, and it was heading straight for the cold frame. The Flowerpot men shut their eyes. Then they heard a terrific crash! Bill and Ben ran to the end of the garden, but they found nothing. Then Pry flew down. "Well done, Bill and Ben," she said. Bill and Ben looked puzzled. "You sent the speedy thing back just in time," Pry explained. "A boy came to fetch it. A moment later, and he would have caught you." Bill and Ben looked at each other in astonishment. and then they burst out laughing.
Hello. You two look tired,
said Weed when Bill and Ben finally returned.
Flobbalob,
agreed Bill.
Flobbalob,
agreed Ben. They were both very glad to be back in their pots, where there were no more tears and no more crashes with very speedy things. The end.
Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. They've been playing in the garden, playing with their friends. Now they'll be sleeping